this video, we're going to cover 5 strategies that are going to increase your sales no matter what you sell or the industry that you sell it within. Okay, so strategy number 1 is to make your value proposition more specific. Now, the more specific your value proposition is to the needs of the specific buyer that you're trying to book meetings with, then the more meetings you're going to book and the higher your closing percentage is going to be. And commonly, sellers try and do the exact opposite of this. They're trying to aim for a broad value proposition during their cold outreach, thinking that if they cast a wider net, they're going to hook more prospects onto a call. Unfortunately, this just isn't how it works in reality. Imagine this, right? Imagine you need to get rid of a body. Now, I won't question why you've got a body that you need to get rid of, but it needs to be gone ASAP. So let's say you get a cold email and it says that this company can come in and they can get rid of whatever waste you have in your home. Well, you've got a body lying next to you in your living room on the floor, it's starting to smell, and that might be somewhat compelling. But if you were to get a cold email that shares a brand new way of getting rid of a body, specifically when you need to get rid of a body fast, obviously that is the company that you're going to respond to. You're going to be happy to engage with them. You're going to be excited to engage with them. And so what can we learn from this terrible metaphor or simile or whatever the anecdote was? Well, it's not an anecdote. There is no body next to me on the floor here. Well, what we can learn is that you need to be bold with your value propositions when you're engaging with potential customers. You have to avoid playing in what's called the zone of indifference. Push the fact that you can improve a specific situation or solve a specific problem, and this will get you out of the zone of indifference that most sellers play within. Next up, and this might sound a little bit odd, but I want you to stop talking about your product's features and benefits. And that is literally it. That is the advice. Stop talking about the features and benefits of your product. Literally nobody gives a... Your widget or software has this button, it comes in a specific color, it does a specific thing. Nobody cares. Instead, what we need to do is focus on the buyer's desires. And think of the buyer's desires being at the very core of the decision-making process. So let me give you an example here. A feature is that Salesman.com Academy has step-by-step training videos. You probably don't really give a shit. The benefit of that is that the training videos are going to help you better implement our frameworks. Okay, great. Who gives a shit? But then when we get deeper into the layers of value and we get into the desire, well, the desire is that most people come into the program wanting is that we remove the stress and the overwhelm from executing and implementing an effective sales process so that you're going to achieve your financial goals quicker and more seamlessly than if you try and do all of this yourself. Now, in my experience, sellers do care about that desire. And this third layer of value, so feature, benefit, and then desire, this third layer of value should be the focus of 90% of your communication with your buyers. And this only starts to shift towards maybe 50-50 towards the end of the sales process, when we might start to communicate more of the practical features of our product as the buyer starts to justify the emotional purchase decision that they've already made with some logic. In this next sales strategy, we'll take a look at how we can put more of the right desires in front of more of the right prospects. So if you're booking meetings, then you should constantly, forever, consistently be redefining and refining your ICP or your ideal customer persona. And this is because B2B sales becomes way easier when you put the right message in front of the right person at the right time. And once you're booking a steady stream of meetings from your cold prospecting each week, it's time to sit down and really work on redefining and refining your ideal customer persona or your ICP. So practically, look at all the people who booked a meeting with you and see what they have in common. It could be job titles, industries, company locations, company sizes, the specific goals that that individual had. Maybe you've started to see a trend in the specific pain points that these individuals have, their current solution, their buying process, the technologies that they're leveraging to do their job, whatever it is. Find some trends between the people who book a meeting and then additionally, the people who book a meeting but also get deals done with you as well. Think of it like this, right? And the goal should be really simple. Find more of the people who buy big and buy quickly, and then speak to more of them. If you could summarize improving sales performance in just a handful of words or a single sentence, that's what it would look like. Stop wasting time with the wrong prospects. Start spending more time with the people who actually want to work with you. Right, okay. So that is revolutionary for a lot of salespeople when they go through that process, but obviously it seems quite basic on the surface. So I encourage you to give it a try. Now, once you have a better idea of your ICP, it's time to start building out a step-by-step sales cadence. Now, most salespeople live in what I call the roller coaster cycle of sales. Some weeks they're doing loads of prospecting, and some weeks they don't. Some days they cold call, and then other days they chase their tail with another random task that doesn't move deals forward. That leads to an up and down, a boom and bust cycle of results, and then a lot of failure as well. And this is stressful for both you and it's stressful for your sales manager. Your sales manager wants to work with sellers who are forecastable. Your sales managers value reliability in performance almost as much as the ability to generate that revenue in the first place. And that is exactly why you need to implement a step-by-step sales cadence. And if you want to learn how to implement a step-by-step cadence, we cover that in massive detail in my free book, Selling Made Simple, which you can grab over at salesman.com. It's completely free. Grab a copy of that today. But the point of implementing that step-by-step sales cadence is the fact that when you do so, and I've been there, I've been kind of pre-cadence and post-cadence, both in my medical device sales roles, but also over at salesman.com as well. When you have that step-by-step sales cadence, you remove so much stress from the sales process. And you're gonna get your sales manager off your back as well, because you're gonna be able to show them that no matter what, you put 100 prospects into your sales cadence and you're gonna book 5, 10, 20, whatever the number is, X number of meetings out of the other end of it. Having a proven systematic prospecting system means that if, for whatever reason, you're slightly behind on your numbers, you just add a few new prospects in the top of the funnel, book those meetings, close those deals. Heck, and there's plenty of people who've been through Salesman.com Academy, our training program over at Salesman.com. A bunch of those individuals have been in the position where they're miles ahead of their numbers, but they're feeling close to burnt out. It's not been sustainable for them to continue at that pace. So they can titrate down the numbers knowing that they're still gonna smash their quota, because again, they know that number of people in the machine is gonna lead to a number of meetings out of the other end, like clockwork, over and over and over again. And this allows you to work within what's called your stretch zone. And contrary to how most salespeople survive day to day where they hate their jobs, working within your stretch zone feels good. You're still pushing yourself, but it feels fun. You're gonna feel challenged, but you're not gonna feel overwhelmed. Your stretch zone is where you're gonna earn the most commissions for the longest period of time in the most sustainable way. And that leads us on to the final, maybe the most important sales strategy in this video, and that is to micro-close more often. Micro-closing is where we confirm where we are within the buying process with the prospect throughout every single one of our conversations with them. And it might go something like, okay, so it sounds like we're a good fit. If I can solve X, will you commit to Y? That would be an example of a micro-close. You might say that towards the end of a discovery call with a potential customer. Or even just asking, hey, okay, does that make sense? So the buyer says yes or no. You're forcing a response from them regularly through a sales demo. Micro-closing is not complicated, but it's incredibly valuable. And the most important thing is that you're consistently micro-closing throughout every single interaction with your prospects. And it's important for a couple of reasons. The main reason is that, well, until AI takes over both the buying and selling process, which it may very well take over the next 10 years or so, in which case I'm out of a job, we're all screwed, right? but until that happens, we've got to remember that buyers are humans and humans are easily distracted. So micro-closing narrows the focus of conversations. And if you're narrowing the focus of conversations throughout the entirety of the sales process, you're narrowing the scope of the sales process itself. You can use micro-closing to pull a buyer back on track if they're unsure of what the next step of the process is, or if they go off on a tangent, or they try and compare you to a competitor, whatever it is. Use micro-closing whenever the sales process is not in a straight line from prospect to buyer. And additionally, micro-closing keeps you informed as to whether you're on the right track with your sales questioning and your sales process. And this is important because lots of sellers don't micro-close until the very end of a call, or even worse, they go through most of the sales process before they do any closing whatsoever. Then undoubtedly they get hit with an abrupt objection or a panicked rejection from the prospect. The prospect is annoyed because they've wasted a bunch of time with a salesperson who didn't know what they were doing. And the salesperson's annoyed because they put loads of time into this prospect when they could have spent it with someone else. It's a mess for everyone. So the alternative is to micro-close throughout each of your conversations. And if the buyer says no to one of your micro-closes, that is absolutely fine. That can almost be a positive thing in certain situations, because when they do say no and you've just done a micro-close, you can ask them the question, okay, no worries, I might have got the wrong end of the stick here. What do we need to do to move things forward? And if you've got enough trust with that prospect, they're going to coach you on how to close them. How awesome is that? So that's 5 sales strategies to increase your sales. And if you enjoyed this video, why not click the video that's on the screen right now and continue making selling simple.